What is up, y'all? It is me, Tasha C, and welcome to the Tasha C Show podcast. Shout out to my YouTube and podcast fam, hugs and love, positive vibes. They cover all that stuff. Thank you for all the support and hugs and love and shout out support and all that good stuff, positive vibes for people who will be part of my YouTube and or I strongly recommend. I have no problem with both YouTube and my podcast fam. My I was going to say my podcast. Y'all listening right now. I'm going to say my YouTube name is tashactv. And today, of course, is another volume of Our Kings and Queens Next Door. This is episode, I know I sometimes don't name the episodes, but this is episode 90. Actually, y'all, I did weirdly get some sleep. I don't know if it was like 2 or something. Then I woke up. I woke up. I woke up at 2, like towards 3 something. But I went to bed around 12 or something like that. So I've been trying to go back to bed. I had to have me before the other day. Y'all, I went to bed, woke up middle of the night, then I went back to bed in a couple hours. So, like I said, I'm still trying to adjust my sleeping habit where I can have like what I had one Wednesday last week when I just went to sleep. So since I am up, that means that it's time for might as well do another, pre-recorded show to get that taken care of. Because it's 4:20 a.m. in the morning. It is April the 30th, 2020. I think tomorrow is March the 1st. Or Saturday. I don't know. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and today we're going to do 2 hours. Now, unless I go to sleep, or start getting sleepy, not go to sleep on the podcast. I hope not. I'm not that tired. But I'm probably going to do the maximum. I'm just going to say the maximum is 2 articles today. Now, the first one is from blackpass.org. I love their site because there's so much information. It doesn't just talk about people, it talks about events and everything. Blacks worldwide. As far as talking about history and other events. Good source. Now, the first one we're going to talk about Battle of Island Mound, 1862. Now, this was originally published on April 26, 2020, contributed by Marcus Nelson. And just to let y'all know, before I begin reading, that I'm a type of person who will Freddy Krueger, Jason from Friday the 13th, and Michael Myers, kill the, pronunciation of words. Okay, if y'all didn't know that. So anyway. The first instance of black soldiers engaging in significant combat during the Civil War was the Battle of Island Mound on October 29, 1862, in Bates County, Missouri. With primary emancipation proclamation issued on September 22, 1862, black soldiers had more than 1 year been recruited by Union forces in Kansas. For weeks, these soldiers have been encamped at Fort Lincoln, a few miles north of Fort Scott, Kansas, having been regulated to guarding Confederate prisoners and manual labor. When the Union Colonel M.P. Chipman expected the regiment on October 15, 1862, he declared the 1st Kansas Colored Infantry ready for battle. On Sunday, October the 26th, word of Confederate guerrillas terrorizing the local Union Operation Missouri was received, but the main Union armies were already engaging enemy forces in Arkansas or protecting supply lines along the Kansas-Missouri border. In response, Union commanders ordered the 1st Kansas Colored Infantry to pursue the guerrillas. Their missions were to capture or kill these guerrillas who were operating on the Hog Island, Allshaw's Island, and rid of the area of their sporadic attacks. First, Kansas colors marched towards the guerrilla encampment in Bates County and commandeered the home of Angus and Christine Toothman, 2 leading Confederate sympathizers. They transferred into the regimental headquarters and named it Fort Africa. On October 29th, the guerrillas attacked a small detachment of black Union troops outside the fort into the Battle of Island Mound. Eventually, the entire understaffed regiment, led by Captain H.E. Seaman, and numerous approximately 250 freemen and former slaves, a full-strength regiment total 1,000 soldiers, confronting nearly 700 Confederates and Confederates, including many on horseback. Determined to prove their worth, the black soldiers battled the guerrillas bravely, forcing them to retreat. When the Union soldiers came upon the guerrilla camp, it was abandoned, indicating a clear victory for the black troops. Well, that just shows something I didn't know in history, of course. I don't call this story or whatever they're talking about, but okay, I just click back on to the recording app. Okay, let me continue. The news of this first battle involving black Union troops quickly spread as far as the East Coast, where the pro-Union, pro-Republican newspapers praised the soldiers. Union officer Lieutenant R. Hilton told Leavenworth, Kansas Daily Conservative, that the battle proved that Negroes are splendid soldiers. Why the way that sounds like the Negroes are splendid soldiers sounds like, like again, they consider us lap dance dogs or something. The New York Times quoted pro-Confederate guerrilla captain that Bill Tummer saying, "The Black Devils fought like tigers." Here we go. Although the Battle of the Island Mile was a small engagement in the Civil War, it gave many Union supporters confidence that black soldiers are capable fighters. Yeah, well, our ancestors were fighting way more than that. Okay, you know what? Let me stop before I go to tangent. The first Candace Colored Infantry Regiment finished the war with a remarkable record worthy of place among the hardest fighting regiments in the Civil War. In October 2008, the citizens of Bates County dedicated a statue of the first Candace Colored Volunteer Infantryman, which they located on the grounds of the courthouse. In addition, the state of Missouri purchased a portion of the Toothman Farm and developed the state's newest historic site, Battle of the Island Mound. Also, in recognition of the place in history, a film based on their heroism won 2 Emmy Awards at the 2015 Mid-Neighbor Emmy Awards in St. Louis. I'm kind of wondering, maybe if I look back on the Battle of Island Mile, what documentary or what was based on that. Okay, y'all, that's the first one. And let's go ahead and read from BigYarger.com. Okay, this time is Miles Davis' bibliography. Trumpet player, songwriter who was born in 1926 and passed away in 1991. Now, the original article was uploaded on April 27, 2017, but it was updated last year on July the 18th, 2019. Okay, of course, that little sentence before it began. Grammy Award winner Miles Davis was a major force in the jazz world, both as a trumpet player and band leader. Excuse me, y'all. Of course, even if I wanted to read some more after this, y'all, I'm definitely going to, hopefully I'm able to go to sleep instead of just yawning, okay? Who was Miles Davis? Instrumental to the development of jazz, Miles Davis is considered one of the top musicians of his era. Born in Illinois in 1926, he traveled at age 16 to New York City to pursue music. Throughout his life, he was at the helm of changing concept of jazz. Winner of 8 Grammy Awards, Miles Davis died in 1991 from respiratory distress in St. Monica, California. Early life. The son of a prosperous dental surgeon and a music teacher, Miles Davis was born Miles Dewey Davis III on May 26, 1926 in Alton, Illinois. Davis grew up in a supportive middle-class household where he was introduced by his father to the trumpet at age 13. Davis quickly developed a talent for playing the trumpet under the private tutelage of Edward Buchanan, a friend of his father who directed a music school. Buchanan emphasized playing the trumpet without vibrato, which was contrary to the common style used by trumpeters such as Louis Armstrong, and which would come to influence to help develop Miles Davis' style. Davis played professionally while in high school. When he was 17 years old, Davis was invited by Dizzy Gillespie, which I talked about before, and Charlie Parker to join them on stage when the framed musicians realized they needed a trumpet player to replace a sick bandmate. Soon after, 1944, Davis left Illinois for New York City, where he was soon enrolled at a Juilliard school known at the time as the Institute of Music Art. While taking courses at Juilliard, Davis sought out Charlie Parker and, after Parker joined him, began to play at Harlem nightclubs. During the gigs, he met several musicians whom he would eventually play with and form the basis for bebop, a fast improvisation of the style of jazz and instrumental that defined the modern jazz era. The birth of the cool. In 1945, Miles Davis elected with his father's permission to drop out of Juilliard and become a full-time jazz musician. He really got a lot of support in musician field. That's pretty interesting, because y'all, he is going into the music field and considered the background of both the careers of his parents. Interesting. A member of the Charlie Parker Quartet at the time. Davis made his first recording as a bandleader in 1946 with the Miles Davis Sextet. Between 1945 and 1948, Davis and Parker recorded continuously. It was during this period that Davis worked on developing an improvisational style that defined his trumpet playing. In 1949, Davis formed a 9-piece band with concomitant additions such as the French horn, trombone, and tuba. He released a series of singles that would later be considered a significant contribution to modern jazz. They were later released as part of the album Birth of the Cool. In the early 1950s, Davis became addicted to heroin. While he was still able to record, it was a difficult period for the musician, and his performances were haphazard. Okay, that's best y'all getting that pronunciation. Okay. Davis overcame his addiction in 1954, around the same time as performance of the Around Midnight at the Newport Jazz Festival earned him a recording contract with Columbia Records. There, he also created the permanent band comprised of John Coltrane and Paul Chambers and Red Garland. Kinda Blue. Davis recorded several albums with his sister during the 1950s, including Porgy and Bess, and Kinda Blue, his final album of the decade, released in 1959. I was kind of wondering, should I also read y'all the article about this play Porgy just because if I see one more time Porgy and Bess having such influence, I'm just saying that's like the 4th or 5th time it seemed like that it was mentioned in another person's biography. Okay, let me continue, y'all. Now considered one of the greatest jazz albums ever recorded, Kinda Blue is credited as the largest selling jazz album of all time, selling more than 2 million copies. Davis continued to that's exactly what it says, y'all. It's a little typo. Successful throughout the 1960s. His band transformed over time, largely due to new band members and changes in style. The various members of his band went on to become some of the most influential musicians of the jazz fusion era. These included Wayne Shorter and Joe Zawinul, Weather Report, Chick Corea, Return to Forever, and John McLaren and Billy Capron, Martinville Orchestra. Oh, okay. This is exactly what it says. Bitches Brew. The development of jazz fusion was influenced by artists such as Jimi Hendrix and the Sly and the Family Stone. Now, they ain't got Sly and the Family Stone highlight, reflecting the fusion of jazz and rock. The album Bitches Brew, recorded a few weeks after the 1969 Woodstock Folk Festival, set the stage for jazz fusion movement to follow. Bitches Brew became a best-selling album. As a result, Davis was featured on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, becoming the first jazz artist to be so recognized. For his more traditional fans, this style was not welcome, but it amplifies Davis' ability to experiment and push the limits of his own music style. Renowned jazz musician, 1970s to 1980s. In 1975, Davis was once again drawn to drug abuse, becoming addicted to alcohol and cocaine, and subsequently taking a 5-year hiatus from his career. In 1979, he met Cicely Tyson, an American actress who helped him overcome cocaine addiction. He and Tyson married in 1981. Oh, I didn't know that. From 1979 to 1981, Davis worked on his recordings that accumulated into the release of the album The Man with the Horn, which registered steady sales but wasn't well received by critics. Davis spent the 1980s continuing to experiment with different styles. He interpreted songs made by Michael Jackson, Human Nature, and Cyndi Lauper at the time on his album You're Under Arrest, released in 1985. It was around the time that Davis developed a feud with fellow trumpeter Leonard Marshall. Marshall publicly criticized Davis' work in jazz fusion, claiming it wasn't true jazz. Subsequently, when March attempted to join Davis on stage without invitation at the Vancouver International Jazz Festival in 1986, Davis requested that he leave the stage using strong language. In other words, cussing his ass out. Okay, to this day, the quarrel between the musicians have been credited with making the International Jazz Festival famous. Tutu, or is it Tattoo? Okay. Davis reinvented himself yet again in 1986 with the release of Tattoo or Tutu, incorporating synthesizers, drum loops, and samples. The album was well received and garnered Davis another Grammy Award. This was followed by the release of Blur, an album that Davis had created in 1985 as a tribute to Mark Davis, but wasn't released until 1989. Davis won yet another Grammy for this project. Death and Legacy. Honoring his body of work in 1990, Miles Davis received a Lifetime Achievement Grammy Award. In 1991, he played with Quincy Jones at the Musuems Jazz Festival. I know I just messed up that word, whatever that word M meant. The two performed a retrospective of Davis' early work, some of which he had not played publicly for more than 20 years. Later that same year, on December 20, 1901, Davis succumbed to pneumonia and respiratory failure, dying at the age of 65. Fittingly, his recordings with Quincy Jones would bring Miles Davis his final Grammy, awarded posthumously in 1993. The honor was just another testament to the musician's profound and lasting influence on jazz. And that is it, y'all. It's time for me to get off of here. Hugs and loves. God bless, positive vibes, and I will see you on the next one, y'all. Hopefully y'all can finally go get some sleep after this. But yeah, I'm done. Y'all get this a little later on today. And I'll see y'all on Friday. So here we are with Shoutout Thursday, and I will see y'all tomorrow with another, podcast. All right, take care.